BBC Radio Leicester.
If you've got some artwork in your house that you bought from the Swedish furniture shop IKEA, chances are it's been created by my next guest. Deborah Azzopardi is an artist. She lives in London, and when Leicester was in the news over the past week, it got her thinking about her memories of the city. Morning, Deborah.
Good morning.
So firstly, just tell us about your connection to Leicester.
Well, my only connection to Leicester is that I was asked by the chief engineer in 88, the chief lighting engineer in 1988, to create the scene of Mickey's Christmas Carol. And that was my connection, but it was quite something. I was terribly young at the time, and I had a license for the Walt Disney Company, and so they asked me to create the scene.
That is fantastic. I've seen the artwork that you created. So how old were you?
I think I was about 29. But it was a very big commission at the time because I thought, wow, this is great. I love Disney. This is marvellous. It was a Christmas scene and event. And the gentleman who commissioned it, his name was Clive Roberts, he had great insight. I always thought lighting was just street lighting. I had no idea, really, I just hadn't thought about it, that it went to the extent of a whole nativity scene. That was really quite something at the time. And he was a great supporter of festive displays and really cared passionately about what people would think of the town hall and town hall square.
Now, you need some help, don't you?
I'm sorry?
You need some help.
I do need some help because apparently the whole display, it was used in 1988 and then it was showed again in 99. And so that was the millennium year. So I'm just hoping that somebody out there has either photographs or a video or something at the time of the whole display, because, of course, we never had mobile phones, we didn't have computers, cameras weren't so easily available, and I've lost my video. So it'd be great if somebody out there had anything.
Okay, so these are the iconic town hall displays, and when you had these designs in mind, these Disney prints that you'd done, they were for children, like our producer Sophie, who remembers them vividly. And ever since she heard about your play of trying to track this down, she was so excited. In fact, the one thing she's been most excited about all day is you. So I'm gonna bring Sophie in here. Sophie, you remember these, don't you?
Yeah, I think I remember them from 1999. So when I was growing up, going to Leicester Town Hall for the light switch on and going to visit the Christmas lights was a massive part of my childhood. And me and my mum used to go. It used to be a big thing, like, okay, on Wednesday we're going to go to the Christmas lights. We'd come into town. We'd have some dinner and we'd go and look at the lights. And
that's
they're just so beautiful. And I briefly remember the Mickey Mouse one, but they were such good quality. And I'm sure people of Leicester will have the similar memories because they just stand out. And as just something really wonderful.
That's fabulous. They were all of them. They were all hand painted. They're all originals. So they all had JVC motors on the back and rocked in time to the music. They put so much thought into it.
Deborah, how did you get Walt Disney to agree to let you do this? Because I mean, Walt Disney now even a huge, but back then absolutely major and massive, and to get people of that sort of ilk to let you do stuff must have been near impossible.
Lucky me, I was already licensed to the Walt Disney Company. So when Leicester City Council, they approached Walt Disney and said, this is what we would like, they put them in touch with me. Nobody can just paint any Walt Disney character. You have to have a license with them. It's serious copyright. So they knew exactly what I was doing. And then when when the whole collection was finished, because there was about 25 characters, and there was an enormous backdrop. The backdrop wasn't a Disney backdrop, of course inspired by Disney, but we drew everything. Every single character had to actually go to Walt Disney, and they had to check that every single line was in the right place, the colour was in the right place, and that everything was to their specification. You couldn't send photographs. They literally had to see them. So these are life-size. You imagine, big van, lots of packaging, putting them in a lift, getting them up to the top floor, letting them see them, check them over, before they could even go to Leicester. So, you couldn't do things on paper and say, here it is. They said, well, we want to see the real thing.
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, if anyone can help, get in touch with us and we'll pass you on to Deborah.
Wonderful.
And Deborah, just briefly before the news, tell us about what you're doing with IKEA then, because as I said, a good deal of artwork that you've made for that particular company.
Well, what's actually happened is my work has been published for a long time, and several images have been available through IKEA globally. The shush image, the girl with the finger to the lip, is well recognised. But in fact, I'm celebrating 35 years of pop art, and my work is represented by the Cynthia Corbett Gallery. But of course, whenever I hear Leicester on the news, and especially now in this horrible time, I thought, what happened to that Christmas display?
Well, if we can find and shed some light on it, we will. People listening to the programme may be able to help out. Our free phone number to call is 0808 100 1049, or you can text 81333, first word Leicester. Deborah Azzopardi, an artist in London now, but originally making and creating artwork for here in Leicester on BBC Radio Leicester. OK, it's just coming up to 8 o'clock.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker.
Play BBC Radio Leicester.